So, what's the deal with Laudna?
Hey, let me ask you something. Is she alive or is she dead?
Welcome to the character sheet. Now, before we dive into today's topic, why don't you click on that subscribe button so you never miss an update. Last week, Critical Role shocked fans when they killed off Laudna, the sorcerer / warlock played by Marisha Ray. After a brutal fight against Odhan Thal, one of the key members of this whole Ruidus and Residuum conspiracy Bell's Hells have been investigating for the entirety of the campaign, Laudna's death fittingly came when Marisha rolled a natural 1 on her final death save.
Natural 1.
Laudna, in the final moments before you expire, please explain to me what crosses your mind.
Now, over the weekend, the channel's producer, Pete, asked me whether or not I thought Laudna was really dead, as in dead.
There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead.
And, honestly, that's a very interesting question because Laudna was really never alive in the first place. She's a hollow one, a necromantic echo, created by a mixture of Delilah Briarwood's necromantic magic and the deep natural magic rooted in the Sun Tree of Whitestone. Because of Laudna's natural state of unlife, it's easy to speculate that Laudna could return in some sort of, Molly Mock / Lucian situation. And it was pretty clear that Laudna's storyline seemed to be building towards Delilah Briarwood trying to either take over Laudna's body or use her in some sort of attempted resurrection. However, I do think that Laudna is actually dead. Now, the first clue that we have was when FCG used Gentle Repose on Laudna, which prevented her body from decaying more, in this case, decaying more. Now, when describing the spell's effect, Matt mentioned that the spell seemed to have some other sort of effect on Laudna, almost as if it were preventing something. That seems to suggest that FCG may have inadvertently prevented Laudna from being used as Delilah's puppet. There's not going to be like a death warlock or, a possession or anything like that. The other complication that could prevent Laudna from returning to life or unlife or whatever she is in any state is that Laudna might not have a soul. You see, in Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, the book specifically mentions that Hollow Ones don't have souls, even if they retain their personality and their sense of self. Now, there's no mechanical rule that prevents a Hollow One from being resurrected, but I can't help but wonder whether Matt has some sort of plan to prevent a clean resurrection without some sort of extra complications. Even a true resurrection, the spell that Keyleth can cast, and Keyleth lives in Whitestone, and Whitestone coincidentally was where Laudna died in the first place. All of that, so true resurrection could have its drawbacks, because Laudna could likely return not as her half-undead whatever it is that we've been seeing, but as her human self, her predecessor, the Laudna that was murdered by the Briarwoods and hung in the Sun Tree as a warning to Vox Machina. Now, who's to say that the Laudna we've gotten to know is the real Laudna and not some sort of shade or some sort of other spooky shit lurking from whatever demiplane of dread the Briarwoods are hanging out at right now.
What a twist!
So anyways, that's why I'm doubtful that we'll see Laudna return as an NPC, or maybe we won't even see her return at all in Critical Role. I'm sure that Pete isn't about to cut me off with some sort of
You lose! Good day, sir!
Peter here over on Team Correct. So if you critters are all sad because Christian just told you Laudna was permadead, the good news is he's totally wrong, and I will explain why. Do you know how many characters have been permakilled in Critical Role history? Out of the 36 or so player characters or important NPCs that have died in all 3 campaigns, 1-ish. Molly Mock was the only permanent casualty of Campaign 2, but then he came back as both Lucian and a sort of clean slate version of himself at the end of the campaign, so we can't count him. Vax from Campaign 1 mainly stayed dead, and even then it took 4 times for it to stick. And he still sort of came back anyway for the Mighty Nine vs. Vox Machina Battle Royale episode. Hell, his twin Vex died 4 times as well in the first campaign and came back every single time. Basically, only Bertrand Bell has actually stayed dead, and he came into the campaign with an expiration date stamped on him. And outside of Critical Role, you see examples of players defying death without even needing a resurrection in multiple high-profile campaigns. Just ask Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Citizen Dr. Abraham Humbler, grandfather of the study of necronautics!
And more so, Critical Role is a story-driven actual play. And Laudna not only has a lot of her own backstory left to be explored, but she's also clearly very important to Imogen's plot arc as well. And notice how I said her name right the first time.
Emotional, damn it!
So leaving her dead doesn't make a lot of sense for the story or the campaign because it affects multiple players. Also, this might be the first universally beloved character Marisha has ever played. So why would she walk away from the character now? And since Matt has said he asks his players' input on keeping a character dead or not, it's hard to imagine her stepping away from a role this popular so soon into Campaign 3. So do you believe Christian is right and Laudna is actually permadead? Or are you correct and you believe me, that Laudna will be back one way or another in very short order? Let us know whose side you're on in the comments, and please feel free to like and subscribe while you're there.